Hi there, and welcome to Create the Podcast, where we break down the content strategies behind today's most successful brands and creators. I'm your host, Yoka, and with me here is my co-host, Gedeon, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of Dr. Squatch, the man's natural soap brand that went from a garage startup to a viral sensation.
It all started in 2013. Jack Haldrup, a guy dealing with psoriasis, was frustrated by the harsh chemical soaps on the market. So he started making natural soap in his garage. And just like that, Dr. Squatch was born.
So fast forward to today, and this quirky no BS brand has grown into a $300 million empire. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just the soap that made them blow up. Dr. Squatch is a content marketing powerhouse. Remember that hilarious YouTube ad from 2019? Yeah, the one that went viral with over 122 million views. That's what put them on the map.
And they didn't just stop there. From the Super Bowl ads in 2021, with the unforgettable line,
"You're not a dish, you're a man,"
to viral TikToks and punchy product videos, their content just keeps hitting.
They've since expanded into all sorts of men's grooming products and are now stocked in major retailers across the United States.
What makes Dr. Squatch stand out is how they've made natural products feel bold, funny, and masculine. Something the average guy actually wants to use. It's the perfect blend of humor, education, and identity-driven marketing.
Big picture, Dr. Squatch is a masterclass in how authentic, entertaining content can disrupt even the most established industries.
So grab your pine tar soap and get comfy. We're unpacking the content strategy that turned a small soap brand into a $500 million force. This is the Dr. Squatch story on Create.
I think today's brand is an interesting one
Why?
because I see similarities with what we've already discussed on another episode for Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Shave Club. Well,
To the point that I went online and researched whether or not it was the same guy behind both brands.
okay.
Because the tone of voice and the approach is so similar. We're also looking at a men's grooming product.
Yeah, product.
There is a slight difference in the sense that like Dollar Shave Club is aiming for people who like no BS, I don't want to overpay for my blades kind of mentality. Whereas like this is more of like, hey, you're not a dish. You
You're not a
deserve
dish.
luxury, like treat your skin
taken care
well. It's
of.
more of like taking care of. But still, like they definitely took a note out of Dollar Shave Club.
Which was launched before or
A year before. So Dollar Shave Club was launched 2012, but they immediately went with the launch video. Whereas Dr. Squatch was launched in 2013, they bootstrapped until then their video launched in 2019.
Okay.
So that's why initially I thought like, oh, 2019 must have been the launch. This is the launch video. Very similar pattern to Dollar Shave Club. Is it the same guy? I legit thought it was. It's not. So this is a guy who, like myself, deals with psoriasis. And anyone who deals with psoriasis.
I didn't know you deal with that.
Psoriasis, eczema, right? Like since I was 10 years old. And you have like these breakouts and especially when I live in Europe, it's worse. Like when I was living in Indonesia or even in Tunisia, like I didn't have it as much. I think climate-wise, like winters, my skin doesn't love winters. But it's a thing like finding soap that doesn't irritate your skin or doesn't make it worse is a thing. And I think for women, it's easier. Like we have a lot of options. And so this guy, Jack Haldrup, basically was thinking, why does this not exist for men? And he started making his own soap in his garage, started selling that online, direct to consumer. And then, very smart move, 6 years later, they went from like in a matter of 2 years. So 2019, they did the viral video. It was very good, by the way.
Yeah.
And at that point, they were roughly at 3 mil in revenue a year. And within the 2 years after that video, they went to 100 mil.
Okay.
So 30x. And most of it was because of that video that put them on the map. Yeah.
What I also noticed is that after that video, they kept on creating more and more videos of the same style. And what I really find interesting is the way he created a whole lifestyle about the whole concept. Because as a man, I still remember this anecdote when I was playing soccer. We'd get in the locker room and we'd start. Would go under the shower, and there was this guy specifically who had a whole bag with product, shampoo, body soap, and people would make fun of him because most of the guys would just use any shampoo, just pour it on your hair. As long as they wash their hair quickly, that's fine, right? And men that actually took care of themselves were seen as feminine.
Yeah.
Which is great because he, like in that specific ad, they actually try to bring out those attributes that makes a man a man. And
it was very much about like masculinity, but at the same time, I remember there also being a part in about like and men who let daughters braid their hair, right? Like, so it was showing like you can still be a man and take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Like it's for men who build things with their hands, who like are rugged guys, right?
Who opens,
but at the same time, I will let my 5-year-old braid my hair or paint my nails. So I love that. To be honest, when I saw the ad, it just gave me flashback to Dollar Shave Club. The difference here is that Dollar Shave Club was able to bootstrap even that video. So they went with a budget of 4.5K.
Yeah.
The founder like had a background in performing arts, so he could star in it. He pulled like some strings with friends he had from performing arts college, found a producer, like, so that's why they could keep it at that 4.5K budget. Not the case with
it was different
Dr. Squatch.
They
hired talent. It was a comedian. We have his name somewhere. James something. He's not massive. It's not like a macro influencer. I think even to today, so this is 4 years, no longer, like 5 years after the viral ad, he has roughly 38K Instagram followers.
Yeah.
So they didn't go with like the big celebrity, but they went with someone with great comedic timing, but still like that's a 5 to 10K cost probably just for talent. And then they used an external agency for script writing, full production.
Yeah.
So we're looking at like 50 to 100K for that one video.
Probably, yeah.
At that point, if you're at 3 mil, it makes sense to be like, okay, we have cash flow build up. We have a loyal customer base. Let's try and like take this to the next level. Let's invest 50 to 100K in this one video. And then most importantly, let's have budget afterwards to push this massively in advertising.
Yeah.
Because even the Super Bowl ad was sort of a spin-off of that 2019 ad. So it was 2 years later and it was still like, you're a man, not a dish. It's the same actor. It was slightly like he was wearing something different. So I think they did a reshoot, but like the script was just like, it was 30 seconds out of that initial script, which definitely like saved them some money. They probably just licensed that again. So that was a smart move, but then also making sure like the whole funnel afterwards made sense.
Yeah.
It's not just, we made a great ad. It was like, okay, where are people going to go to? How do we retarget them?
Exactly.
How can we increase like lifetime value of our customers once they hit the website? Because then it was subscriptions and upsells and like an entire funnel behind it. And then like it paid off. They went from 3 mil to 100 mil a year revenue in 2 years' time. So it's worth it. And then making sure, like Dollar Shave Club, that you maintain that brand voice in all of your content.
Like having a great tagline, just like, you're not a dish.
You're not a dish, you're a man.
Everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
And it actually follows with the type of content where they would actually show the difference with other brands on the market. Saying that basically those type of brands were creating chemical products and it wasn't really natural. So they emphasize the the natural side. And it was great because it's exactly at the same period where people started thinking a little bit more about the type of product they were using.
It was around the time of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So people were very health
oriented
at that point and became more and more aware of like what was going into their bodies. So it's a smart move, but also like just the coincidence of timing that worked out very well for them. And then they also do massive like celebrity collaborations. Like we're talking Mike Tyson. They now had like Sydney Sweeney, which again, smart move. And like she does major brand deals, like not just with them, but other beauty brands as well. It was a smart move because she is someone guys lust for.
That's I was going to say that.
Someone that women want to be like. And so the ad that they made with her of like her being like the soap genie, it starts off with, ladies, how do we get our men to smell so good? And the reason that they went with that, and this is just smart marketing, the reason that they went with that is because that was at the exact same time that Dr. Squatch became available in Walmart. And who does the shopping for the majority of the households? Women. So we now need to create like this want in a female audience as well, because they're going to be purchasing this for their men.
Because they want them to. Yeah.
But at the same time, like you also still want men to be like, oh, this is a guy's
thing. If Sweeney believes this is attractive, she's attractive.
And then even in the ad, and that's like where I was like, oh, now I'm out. Now I'm like,
where is she?
Is when the woman enters and she goes like, oh, you're cheating on me with like, and he's like, no, it's just a genie. And so then I was like, oh, we're back to marketing to guys. Like this is not, you lost me here. But at the same time, now I know like it's available in Walmart and probably my guy is going to smell great.
Like they grab that attention to communicate the fact that they were now available.
But it's smart because I do believe, and this might be a bias, we might need to fact check this, but I do believe maybe guys would be more likely to purchase online and get it delivered at home. And then because if you're looking at a household.
Well, I don't want to, it's maybe biased because again, I don't pay for my own.
People gift it.
People gift it to me or my partner
your girlfriend will buy it.
So I'm very much influenced by what she buys.
It's been a long time since I've been in a relationship. So like I am trying to remember. But yeah, I think when I was with previous partners, I eventually would also purchase
I get to
deodorant.
I get my say to tell, right? But she goes,
I have input.
But I think it's it happens most often that I'm not like she handles that. She does it while she does the shopping.
Because it's also women sort of manage the household
most of the time.
Like if I now think of it like with my son, it's like I am constantly paying attention to we're about to run out of this or we're about to like, so then when you go to the supermarket, you purchase it. Whereas previously, because they've always been direct to consumer, it was very heavily marketed towards men because a man can actually buy stuff online.
Makes sense.
Well, a guy can also buy stuff in the store, but like I'm not saying that.
But it's great because they also went with talking about collabs. They did the recent collab with Call of Duty, which is basically one of the most played games, if not the most played game after FIFA in the guys community. Yeah. So
I, again, as a woman, initially was like, wait, it's soap, and then like they're collaborating with Call of Duty.
Well,
and then,
that's where men
But then I was like, well, it's great because that's where men's attention goes. Yeah. So like you would want to have a collab
so they take streamers and then they collab.
And then they also, because I went through their Instagram sort of checking like, okay, posting frequency. They do once a day. So it's not like massive amounts. And also the posts that they do is like most of the stuff is like meme oriented or like they have one guy and I tried figuring out like, is this an external agency or someone on their team? He does like these really great like skits and like, again, like shot on iPhone. Looks like shot on iPhone. You never know with brands this big. And then also the editing is very purposely done for social. So like it's not too polished. It looks like the caption style that you can get in CapCut, the official like TikTok editor, or at least it was for a long time. But I'm not sure if he's on their team, but he does this great stuff of like when you're a gamer and you're just like sweating throughout the game, and then like you need your Dr. Squatch.
I was gonna say that from what I noticed from the type of content they create, I feel like it's not for every type of man. I feel like it's a very geek community because from what I saw, I already envisioned all my friends, geek friends, the same type of jokes, the same, and then when I saw the Call of Duty collaboration, I was like,
you have to
definitely makes sense.
You have to keep in mind there as well that someone who isn't a geek probably doesn't care so much about the ingredients of a product because they don't think about that. They're not like, unless you have psoriasis, which is if you only sell to people who have psoriasis, like that's still a big community, believe me, but like a smaller community. Whereas if you go for people who care about the type of products that they have, I wouldn't say it's a luxury segment. It's not, but it's definitely a premium segment. It's not like there's a bunch of guys who don't care and like they or their partner just go to the supermarket and they're like, this is body wash, this will do, right? That's not their target.
And if you go with that segment, you definitely fall on people that geeks, like people who play Call of Duty usually would be great collectors. So that's why then they create these exclusive versions of the soap because of course it speaks to collectors. And they have these different collections of different type of soaps for the different type of vibe.
Miniature puppets and they're like for sure.
I think they understand their audience, which is great. I had a question in terms of let's take for example the partnership with Sweeney. Do you think they shot all that content on the same day, or is it like periodic? Like, is it a periodic partnership in your opinion, or they went like,
I think if they went about it smart, it's shot in one go. It might be multiple shoot days, but I think it's one go because you pay your talent for how many times they have to show up. So of course, like the overall fee would also be for the licensing and like the period of time that you're allowed to use it. Yeah. But on top of that, it's also calculated, and you know this from running Shake Influence, it's calculated on how many shoot days the talent needs to be there. So if you're smart about it production-wise, like you try to limit that, and then you buy the licensing over X amount of time.
Instead of coming with a new project,
well,
which also
if, for example, they're realizing, our community, our audience is really, really relating to this celebrity that we've been working with, then maybe in a year's time, they're like, let's use her again. She was great to work with. We have good rapport. The audience loves her.
Let's go on a longer period.
Go on like another commercial or another spin-off of this thing. That's, of course, possible, but I think you'd like do an initial run, see how that works. And then there's still options like, do we do an additional project, an additional ad with this person, or do we just buy a longer licensing period? Where, for example, we've purchased 12 months of licensing for this commercial, but we'd actually like to like use it for another 12 months. Then you just pay for that again, and you don't have to go for another shoot and another production budget. So all possible. But production-wise, you'd look at the financially, like what's the smartest decision, and that's to get everything done at once. So I'm guessing that.
Okay.
A lot of it was also green screened, what she did. Yeah. Like if you have the ad with the guy in the shower, I don't actually think like they have a set. Like I think they would have had a set with the guy in the shower and then the woman walking in. But I think she, from how it looks and how, because she clicks her fingers and all that, that's green screen. So I think she just did her entire part without even being there with the other actors. In my opinion, might be completely off, but it looks like that in post.
Okay. So apart from influencer partnerships, I noticed they also created a lot of content UGC style.
I think memes, from what I saw, like they have these really polished like collabs. They have the thing with Mike Tyson that's now happening, and then they did an entire production with that where like the whole, like they created an entire like white boxing ring within their logo in the middle, like, and that of course like the behind the scenes lens for a lot of social content. And then they also like did memes with Mike Tyson's face in it.
Yeah, the sniff.
Yeah, it's like with this white tiger and like just him basically like pampering himself. And so you have that stuff. They have a lot of memes about questions that their audience asks them. So there have been like a lot of people requesting like edible soap. And so they have a ton of like carousels and like memes of like about that. So
and on April they
launched this fake thing of like a cookie soap because that's apparently something guys are weird.
I told you the community is crazy.
From what I could see on their socials, they do rely on a lot of like high production value content, which now like also makes sense because they're in stores nationwide in the US. So that's going to mean like television commercials. They already did the Super Bowl thing. They're no longer just like an e-commerce brand. They're actually becoming like a brand that can be bought in a store, and it's not an owned store, right? Like it's on the shelves and you're competing with everything else on the shelves. So now you need to try to reach like a much broader audience. So it makes sense that they're going like high production, celebrity endorsements, and then they're still making sure that they keep up with their social media in the sense of they do post once a day on Instagram, but that's it.
But I feel like the content they post on Instagram doesn't necessarily, I feel like they probably have like an in-house team working with an agency on the side to create those low
all of the high
and repurposing those long forms as well, because the ads as well, those long forms, they actually last usually 1 minute or plus.
The viral ad was 3 minutes, which is sort of unheard of for an ad. They ran it completely, and then they also of course did the typical 15, 30, 45 second variations of it, and they were featured in 2020. That's sort of like when they started pushing probably the majority of their ad budget behind it. They were featured on like the YouTube ad leaderboard, and that's like not just about like, oh, it's beautiful creative. Like if you get featured on there, it's because you did great creative that drove results. So that's sort of what puts you on that leaderboard, which I did want to say that I do feel like this brand is an example of like where performance marketing and storytelling did a really good job together, which is something that isn't always the case. Unfortunately, like I've consulted companies where they're like, and this is our marketing department, there's the performance team, and there is the content team, and they're managed by different managers.
Linked,
and it's oh, we just do the ads, they do the content. And there's such a disconnect. And then every time I have to come in and go like, no, you guys are supposed to be like one team. You're supposed to tell an amazing story, and then you put budget behind it, basically. So that's something that Dr. Squatch did very well, is to combine that. And then production-wise, external creative agencies to do all of the high production shoots, there's no way they have that in-house. Like the manpower, equipment, all of it that goes into that. Very unlikely, unless you're a media company, and then like you would have that.
And they're not creating that type of content every day as well. So
and then probably an in-house social media team,
definitely,
that works hand in hand with the creative teams or the external creative partners to then repurpose certain things in memes and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then we're not even touching upon, they also have email marketing and like that's also, people tend to forget, like you need graphic designers for that.
They gather also testimonials from people, and there's also a lot of motion graphics related to the products and whatnot. So they have these customer testimonial that they use in your content as well. Which is
that's
good.
The same thing. Like whenever it's like customer testimonial, production value is lower. it needs to be polished and like on brand, but it isn't necessarily something that you have to place with a full service creative agency.
Definitely.
So at that point, you're either looking at an in-house person that knows how to video edit or an in-house video editor, or they're working with a freelancer or a company like ours that does post-production. And then that's something that like how you would solve that gap.
Okay. So it's a mix of depending on the type of content you need to create. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, so I also read, like, while doing the research, that they personalize a lot the experience. For example, with product recommendation, they have like this specific quiz that you answer to have this recommendation. How powerful is that?
Well, any type of quiz on your website, same thing with Loop earplugs. It just makes the shopping experience easier for the consumer. Because if I go to your website and there's like a bunch of different soaps, how do I know which one I like? Especially if you're an e-commerce brand selling a soap that you claim makes a man smell better than a woman, but I can't smell it because I'm on a website. So like you're going to have to convince me somehow that this thing is going to smell amazing or it's going to be great for my skin. Especially if I have psoriasis, I would want to know, like, is it all of your soaps that are good for psoriasis? So it makes it easier for the consumer to decide what they want. And at the same time, it's a great way to already get information even before someone purchases. Because often when you do a quiz like this, they'll ask you for your email. And so even if I fill out this thing and then I don't purchase, now this brand has my email, they can retarget me through email, which is going to be cheaper than if they have to do it through ads. So it's
also valuable feedback to know what type of products their audience are looking for in terms of preferences. Because I guess I didn't try it any of the quiz, but I guess it's probably around what you love doing, what type of scents you like, or what type of game, or what type of
or maybe what type of skin you have and what you're looking for in the soap. All of the data is like valuable. I think they do a good job with that as well. The same thing again with like people asking about the edible soap and then them running that as an April Fool's thing. Like they listen to their community, but at the same time they have that humorous and witty thing about them. So like the fact that they then use memes going like, it was something about like an alarm, like it was a graphic with like an iPhone alarm, like reply to everyone asking about an edible soap, like stuff like that. So they do like make fun of their own customers as well. And I think they have an audience that appreciates that. And I'm big into like using data to create better content and create better products because I'm a geek on that, in that sense, in the sense of that I would also be interested in seeing, okay, if people take the quiz and we recommend them a specific product, how often do they buy or not buy? Is there a specific product that we recommend that then returns a lower conversion than another one, for example? Like that's how like deep you can go into data
and do actual informed decisions. Take actual informed decisions. Okay, there is something they really do, which is that is really interesting, which is like the TikTok e-commerce product tags, which actually makes it even easier to shop, purchase through TikTok. And there's also exclusive product launch to create time-sensitive offers and whatnot. Well, is there anything you think that was great in your strategy or in the type of content they create that someone listening to this can?
Well, I think what I took away from this is that you don't necessarily need to be original, but you just have to be original enough.
Authentic?
If you look at their entire strategy, it's not an original strategy. Right? It's original enough. They literally looked at another brand that did really well. They were like, they did this, and this. Okay, how can we do exactly the same, but with nuance?
With nuance, indeed.
So we're not going to exactly copy it, but this is the roadmap that we want. how can we now make it so that it's still original enough so that people can relate to it? They're not going to be like, oh, you're a copycat, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something creative marketing people sometimes struggle with. Yeah. You want to be so original that you forget that the goal is to like build this company and sell more product and build a community. And if someone's who is in a similar segment
is already speaking to an audience,
and clearly it's working, then take a note out of their playbook.
Definitely.
Right. And then it was different. Like they took a note out of the playbook, but they sort of knocked it out of the park, put a lot more budget behind it immediately. Like, so I would say that, like, don't get hung up on having to be the most original. Find something that's worked for another brand and then put your own originality on top of that. Because again, like when I saw this and I saw the ad and I looked at their socials, I was like, it's the same guy, right? And then, of course, you dive deeper and you're like, oh, no, they actually do have their own originality and there is nuance in it and there is a slightly different audience persona in here. But they were also bold enough to go like, hey, it's worked for someone else. Why wouldn't it work for us? And it sort of made me think of, I keep remembering this interview with Will Smith. This was years ago where my goal was to become the number one movie star. Okay. So instead of winging it, he together with, I think it was his acting coach or like his agent at the time, they looked at like all the top grossing movies, what they had in common, what the male actors in them looked like, did, type of roles, etc. And they basically reverse engineered what it would take to get to that point. So he wasn't just like, oh, let me go out to a bunch of auditions and just try to get as many roles as possible. He was very selective about like, these are the roles that bring in most revenue. These are the biggest like grossing actors. This is the roles they say yes to. This is the roles they say no to. And he reverse engineered it. And then of course made it his own. No one was like, oh, Will Smith is doing exactly like this guy or this guy because it's still Will Smith. Yeah. But he didn't go in blind. Like he looked at the playbook. He was like, this is my roadmap. Now let me do it my way. But these are still like the steps that we're going to take. In that interview, I saw this years ago and I was like, oh, that stuck with me because then we're mixing talent and creativity with strategy.
So looking at what works and adding some singularity to that.
Yes, in a nutshell, there's more nuance to it because if your audience isn't the same, but like, yes, because for me, when I looked at this, I was like, I've seen this before. Seen this before. But it's also, I think for me as a creative, I think some people in our team have it as well, is I think sometimes the downfall of a creative is that you just get stuck because you want to be so creative and you want to be so original that you don't get anything done. And you're just like, no, but I have this, you have 100 great little ideas and nothing is connected, but oh, it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be so original. I'm going to do something new. And in the meantime, like other people are doing amazing stuff, just taking something that has already been done and improving upon it or making it their own, which is sort of what Dr. Squatch did.
I think there is we're a little bit limited by time here, but there is a lot that we could talk about because I think about even the way they create content and put forward the packaging and a lot of stuff that actually stays in your head and you can't forget it. Like I have the Dr. Squatch packaging in my head, so I think that's also brilliant. There's a lot to talk about, but I think we may have the time to deep dive through this brand maybe another time, right? What can we tell to anyone listening to us for the first time who hasn't subscribed yet?
Well, subscribe.
Share.
First of all, subscribe, whatever platform you're watching or listening this, and then share it with someone who might find it useful. And then most importantly, we create this show or these episodes to be of service and hopefully inspire other people, teach you a thing or two. That would be great. So if there's any brand or creator that you're interested in, that I wonder how they built this or how they got from point A to point B, just let us know in the comments down below. And we're more than willing to tackle those as well.
And if there is anything about Dr. Squatch that you feel was great in your content strategy, please say it in the comments as well.
All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And we'll talk to you in the next one.
Cheers.